God, I'm telling you, my dogs are barking today.
But man, my dogs are barking.
Welcome into the My Dogs Are Barking podcast, and welcome into State of the Dogs, week number 5. Alongside with me, I'm glad to have him back, is my main man, Austin. Austin, how you doing after watching week 4 of football?
Man, it was a lot of fun. A lot of good, just a good football. Michigan, Michigan, USC, Tennessee, Oklahoma. It was a good Saturday. Not too great for the Bulldogs, but I mean everybody else. It was a whole lot of fun. Great slate of football for just week 4, and it was a good Saturday. It was solid.
Yeah, and on this episode of State of the Dogs, we are kind of talking a little bit about recapping the game yesterday with Florida and Mississippi State. We're not going to spend too much time on that. What we will kind of talk about the future, the state of the Dogs, if you will. But the game yesterday for Mississippi State was not great. Florida wins the game 45-28. But what's funny is as I was talking to people about this game who were asking about it that are not Mississippi State fans, in some weird way, I was encouraged by the offense. It seemed like that the Bulldogs got a little bit more of a running gain this week. I think they rushed for over 250 yards. Johnny Daniels had 77 yards rushing. Davon Booth had 75 yards rushing. Kevon Lee had 52 yards rushing. Shapen obviously had 32 yards and a touchdown. Mississippi State was able to run the ball effectively. Now, defensively, it's another story. And of course, there's the big headline of starting quarterback Blake Shapen being out for the rest of the season. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But overall, Austin, what were your impressions from the Bulldogs in this game? Like, how did it hit you? Because I think we knew and we both predicted that Mississippi State was going to lose this game by double digits, even though the line was much, much lower. Like, what did you take away from this game? Is there any positives?
It's hard when you are only and you're favored to lose 6 points. And then we lose by, I mean, what? I think we lost by 17 points. It's hard to just wrap your head around that and find a positive. But, yeah, I would say, I mean, I agree with you what you pointed out. I would say our running game, I mean, Davon Booth let's just be honest, the running game has been terrible. The first 3 games, they were awful. And so it's been good just to show a bit of life. I mean, it's not like we had, amazing running game, but we showed a lot of life. And I really like to see it because – we're going to talk about Blake Shapen, but, with him being out, I mean, we're going to have to establish a running game early in games and carry it on throughout the entire game if we want to have a chance to stay in these games. And so, yeah, Kevon Lee is going to have to step up. Johnny Daniels is going to have to step up, and Davon Booth. Those 3 guys are going to be pivotal for the rest of the season, and this offensive line is going to have to learn to pass rush. But I don't know how good the defensive line for Florida is. I haven't really done my research on that, so I don't know how bad or good they are. But, I mean, we really showed out, running the football. And, I mean, I didn't expect that. I don't know about you, but I had no idea that we were going to do that. And I'm really excited about the future of the run game. Hopefully we can get that going, whatever we did, and bring it into the rest of the season, or it's going to be very bad for every other game if we don't.
Yeah, it felt like this one was not as demoralizing. You mentioned that the run game just got going. And so maybe, as you said, like maybe this will kind of build. Maybe they figured out, okay, we figured out some blocking schemes that work. I think it looks like Mississippi State found a way, hopefully going forward, to have this offense going in a little more consistent manner. I mean, if you're a Bulldog fan, really think about it. Your defense gave up 45 points. I mean, that's really bad. That's really bad. You could have scored from inside the 5-yard line. I think it's twice. Am I right on that? Twice?
Yeah, I think you are right.
Yeah, twice. You almost get a fumble back if you just would have fallen on it. I mean, there's the reason I say that is Florida beat Mississippi State, and we know all that. But you can at least see there's some silver lining. Like if you fix a couple of these things, this game goes, in the opposite direction. And so there are some positives from this game. But then there's the bad news. Pardon me. Before I even get there, just to go over a couple of stats. I mentioned the rushing stats for Mississippi State. The receiving department, Kelly Akakari, big play Kelly A, had 56 yards receiving. His best game as a Bulldog. Mario Craver, 62 yards receiving. Seydou Traore was really, really good in the passing game. Was very below average in the run blocking. Creed Whittemore touched it twice, got 36 yards in those 2 touches. Jordan Mosley had a really big touchdown catch. The receivers played very well, very, very well. And then there's the quarterbacks. Blake Shapen, 13 to 21, 140, a touchdown, but he was injured, left the game. And only for us to learn that he is going to be out for the season. And in to replace him is true freshman quarterback Michael Van Buren Jr., who went 7 of 13 for 100 yards. Austin, this is what I want to get your thoughts on. The Bulldogs, I mean, had a tough day. Yeah, the loss has been a tough season, and now you lose your starting quarterback for the year. What does this look like going forward? Is there a Chris Parsons situation? You think he's going to be able to play, or do you think Van Buren going to the game shows that he is the clear quarterback number 2 that probably will start this week versus Texas?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at both and evaluate both. But I mean, Chris Parson has played obviously and gotten more reps than Michael Van Buren, and so he started the game against A&M. He played against Kentucky last year for a little bit of the game. So you got to look at that, but you also got to look at, I mean, he's a Mike Leach recruit. I mean, Van Buren is Levy's guy, and I think we saw that on Saturday. Oh, obviously we didn't know the logistics of Blake Shapen when he got hurt this Saturday, but when we saw Michael Van Buren in, we thought, I don't think anybody honestly saw it coming. To be honest, I thought Chris Parson was the starter. I thought everybody knew that. And then when I saw Van Buren out there, I said, hey, why not? We already lost the game. Let's, put in somebody. And I think that, I think Jeff Levy obviously knows that we're not going to have a good season. I think that's pretty chalked, but I think that for the rest of the year, it's just going to be a rebuilding year like we always presumed. But instead of having a senior quarterback, you have a true freshman quarterback that has a whole lot of upside. I'd like to see what I saw from Michael Van Buren. The offensive line it's terrible. I mean, they gave him no help. He's a very shifty player. He can move around the pocket. He got to get his pocket awareness up a little bit, but he was slinging it. He had a couple pretty bad throws, I'd say. But there was a couple, that throw to Creed. I mean, there was one or two more. I was like, hey, he has a lot of untapped potential. And so I think that we'll probably see, especially with Texas, since they're going to, beat us up. I think we'll definitely see both quarterbacks. But I look forward to seeing what Van Buren can do. And I would love to see him be the starter, but I just don't know with, Chris Parson having the experience. It's a road game in one of the most hostile environments in all of college football against, arguably the best team in all of college football. So I'll see who's the starter is, but I definitely think we'll see both play.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, when Van Buren came in, I'm with you. A little shocking because Parsons was standing right next to Levy pretty much the whole game. It looked like. Mm-hmm. And looked like he was ready to hop in at any moment. But Van Buren did show, and he's got some athletic ability, and especially to get out of the pocket behind this offensive line. You can't be a statue behind it. And he showed there was a couple of moves where he got away from a pass rush that I thought I hadn't seen somebody do that for Mississippi State in a minute. You remember Dak was so big, it was so thick he can kind of push somebody off of him. But not like in a quickness manner, the way we saw with Van Buren a couple of times already have to escape the pocket. So it should be interesting. Now, this week, Mississippi State is going on the road at Texas. Like you mentioned, probably likely the number 1 team in the nation. Texas won 51-3 versus Louisiana Monroe this past week. Arch Manning started the game and threw for 258 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, and he also threw for 50, I guess it'd be 52%. So almost half of his passes were incompletions, half were completions. Manning did not play, outstanding, but it was his first kind of true start. But the running game for Texas really did well. Jadon Blue had 124 yards, 3 touchdowns. Colin Page, 60 yards rushing. Jarrett Gibson, 32 yards and a touchdown. Another running back had a touchdown. So they have the ability to run the ball. That should scare Mississippi State in many ways. Texas, when the line opened here on Sunday morning, Texas was favored by 35.5, and that has jumped up to 37.5 in an hour. So people obviously know that they are believing that Texas is going to win this game by a lot more. Probably be at 40 by the end of the week. What are your thoughts, Austin? What is? I guess the main thing is Mississippi State's not expected to win this game, but what can we take from this game if you're a Mississippi State fan to be positive? Like, what would be something that you'd say, all right, we did not win, but we're glad because X happened?
Man, that's tough, man. It's hard just because of the circumstances going into Saturday. I'm scared to death for our guys. But I think that if Jeff Lebby really shows what Showtime's about offensively, I think that people will be like, "Hey, this is one of the best defenses in the country that we're facing," and we can score on them. So I think if we score, I mean, we scored 25, 30 points. I think people would be excited. But will that happen? I don't know. Jeff Laby's going to have to really get in his bag of tricks to do that. But I don't know. But I think that if Michael Van Buren really shows a whole lot and these wide receiver core play out of their mind, and we just have some big plays and just exciting offense, I think that it would be very exciting and very, very good to look forward to the future. But I mean, the catalyst for every single game has been that defense. We can't let Florida score 45 points with Graham Mertz. I mean, that just can't happen if we want to win games in the SEC. And now we have to play one of the most just explosive offenses in the entire nation. They have so many guys, 5 stars, 4 stars, all over their offense. And we got guys on the secondary that, I mean, they wouldn't be lacing up their sneakers. I just don't understand how we're going to stay in this game at all. I really don't. But Coleman Hutzler, I mean, I don't know what we're going to have to do. I don't know if Quinn Ewers is playing or not, but I don't know what our defense is going to have to do. But if we can get open field tackles and we can stay in the game, even for the first half, I would feel good about that. I just feel like first drive, Texas scores, second drive, Texas scores, because I just don't see how our defense is going to stop them when we got guys who just can't tackle. We're not good in coverage. We're not good at really anything defensively. So if we can show a little hope defensively and then a lot of hope offensively with, big plays, scoring, driving down the field, then I would feel good. But I mean, I think everybody has this game chalked up as a loss, me as well. But I think that, offensively, be explosive, defensively, get some good stops, maybe create a turnover or two. I feel like we'd be feeling good.
Yeah. Do you think? I would imagine Mississippi State is going to see Texas run the ball a lot and because I think Arch Manning will probably start this game because next week Texas takes on Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. So I'd imagine they want him feeling 100%. So I could see Arch starting this game, and then honestly, after having success in the run game, they might not pass it a lot at all. They might just see that, man, you know what, this is working, and we'll kind of lean on that and maybe save some stuff for Oklahoma next week. I think this game is a positive for Mississippi State if they could score around what they scored versus Florida. If you told me that Mississippi State scored 25 versus Texas, I think I'd be in a really good mood. I mean, that would tell me, gosh, all things considered, Michael Van Buren got it in the end zone a couple of times. He at least moved the ball versus this offense. Defensively, I don't know if they'll have to punt. I mean, I would be amazed. And Steve Sarkisian is such a brilliant offensive mind anyway. But that does bring us to prediction time. If Texas is favored by 37 and a half, Austin, do you have a score prediction for how this game is going to go?
Yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to go 55 to 55-13. I think we'll score a touchdown and 2 field goals. But I think their offense is going to get whatever they want. I just, with it being Michael Van Buren's first start, I don't know what to expect from him. I don't know what to expect from Chris Parson. And so I'm just not feeling very hopeful for our offense, honestly. And I really hope they prove me wrong. Like I said, if they score 25, 30 points, I would feel great about it. But I'm going to say 55-33. No, 55-13.
55-13 is not a bad bet. Yeah, you're right. It just depends on what the quarterback position is going to be. And, the best case scenario is this is Michael Van Buren's, coming out game, man. But he is a true freshman, and that's just hard. And, statistically coming out of high school and being high recruited, Michael Van Buren is one of the highest recruited quarterbacks Mississippi State's ever had. He like his accolade list is a mile long. His offer sheet was a mile long, but this is a really tough task for your first game. We saw last year Chris Parson in his very first start on the road at A&M was a disaster. It was really bad. So in this game, I'm going to take Texas winning at 46-10. I think Mississippi State might get in the end zone one time. But you know what? Mississippi State got in the end zone more times than I thought they would versus Florida. And I know Florida and Texas, very different teams, but they at least showed something. And I'll tell you, if you're a Mississippi State fan, I think something to be encouraged by is this. I think the concept of Jeff Lebby's offense, I think we saw some glimpses that this concept can work. When they were moving the ball very fast, they were getting first downs, they could run the ball effectively. But they just don't have the personnel for it. The offensive line is just not built for it at the moment. They don't have a lot of time. People's hands are all up in their face. Defensively, they don't have a lot of SEC caliber guys, in my opinion. So at least you can be encouraged by that. It'd be one thing if you go, man, this scheme's not going to work. None of this is going to work. But I think we saw a glimpse that this Mississippi State team with the right personnel can work. And remember this, recruits are watching and they are seeing it at running back. They're saying, hey, I can get in the rotation early. This is Johnny Daniels' first season to start. I know he's a JUCO guy, but I can get into the rotation. If I'm a tight end, I go, oh man, their tight end caught the ball several times and was targeted even more than he caught it. That's interesting. They're playing multiple tight ends. A lot of different receivers are getting the ball. These are things receivers are watching and taking notice of. So I know the win and loss is not what you want, but you have future proof that these things are going to work, at least from what I believe. So I think Mississippi State's in a better place. Obviously, after the $8 million gift that was given to Mississippi State athletics, that's a positive. The Bulldogs, as we covered this past week, got some better recruits coming in the door for next season, especially on the defensive side of the ball where they need a lot of help. So, but yeah, Austin, any final thoughts leaving this Florida game, going into to a game on the road at Texas, man? This schedule. Whew.
Yeah, no, just, for Mississippi State fans, don't have high expectations, just, going into the next couple weeks, don't expect too much. And then trust in Lebby, just seeing the message board, seeing stuff on people on Twitter, be patient. I mean, the only thing I can preach on for Mississippi State is just patience. We're going to see little glimpses here and there, but I really truly believe in Jeff Lebby. I believe in what he can do here in Starkville, and I believe he really is building something. We just gotta be patient. We got to get, I think, just personally, I think we got to get a new defensive staff in there next year. But I think, we just got to be preaching patience and just see what happens. But I really like the upside in this team. This team, guys, is so young, offensively and defensively, and I think we have a whole lot of upside. But I think it's coming. And this year is just going to be very rough. Saturday is going to be very, very rough. And just be patient. But Hail State at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And look, fans could be seeing this team that Mississippi State is playing right now. This is a team that is, in my opinion, going to be playing for the national title. This is a really good team they're going up against with a rock star of a coach. Just an NFL roster. And also, this is good practice because in 2 weeks, Mississippi State's going on the road again at Georgia. So the schedule mixed is crazy. The schedule mixed in with the circumstances of this first year team, this roster. Now the Blake Shapen is out for the rest of the year. That's rough. That's really, really rough. We do appreciate you guys for joining us. We'll try to have a matchup show for you later on in the week. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.